Welcome to the Divine Feminine Podcast with myself, Krystal Aranyani. This is a space for spiritual seekers, sacred rebels, and embodied leaders of the new earth. Here, ancient wisdom meets modern life through raw conversations, timeless philosophy, and living devotion. This is an activation and a remembrance of your true nature. Welcome home. Hello, love, and welcome to the Divine Feminine Podcast. This is a sacred rebranding and rebirth of our previous podcast. And many of you, when I announced this change, have asked what happened to the old podcast. And being transparent for legal purposes, I cannot openly share at this time about my explorations in the adult industry to the degree that I was on the previous podcast. So we have shifted a little bit, and the new branding is really around my new membership, the Divine Feminine, which has been my baby. I have poured my heart and soul into this membership, and there's so much more coming in it. And like anything else that I have shared for almost a decade now online, really all of my work and my message is around this divine feminine awakening and the goddess awakening on our planet at this time on Earth, which I think is the main shift on our planet that humanity needs at this time. And many ancient prophecies have shared that at this time on Earth, the feminine energy will be rising, the goddess will be rising to meet the masculine, not to overpower, not to suppress the masculine, but to meet the masculine in the sacred union. So that is the foundation of this podcast. I'll be sharing my own experiences and insights, as well as interviews with powerful women and men. So for this first episode, I thought I would share about what I have been up to personally, and also why I stopped teaching tantra and what I'm doing now. As many of you know, I took a year-long sabbatical. I went on many adventures. I had a huge tower card moment, which really invited me to step back from my work that I'd been doing for 14 years, take a break, and reevaluate what I want to do with my time on Earth. And I highly recommend this. Of course, I went into different work so that I could support myself, and I really wanted to explore different things. So it's not like I was just living off nothing for a year, but I did buy properties, so I was able to stay there in Canada, not having a ton of bills at the time, so I could really open the space up for myself to dive into myself and figure out if I'm on the path that I desire to be on. So that's what I'm sharing with you today. And also this whole misconception and interesting energy that's around Tantra, and sharing my experience with that as well. So firstly, I just moved to Nevada City in America. I'm still in my process. For those who know, I'm in the process of becoming an American, which at this time in America has become a much longer process than I could have ever foreseen. So I have moved to the forest and the mountains. I'm currently not allowed back in Canada until my visa's processed, which has been over a year and a half now. So it's been challenging. I really wish I could see my parents. I wish I could go back to my property back home, but I have moved into a forest in the mountains. I have missed the green, just Greenland so much. I was in the desert for 6 months before this, and my skin and my soul are very happy to be back in the forest, as well as Priya, my Chewini, for those who know. She's very happy to be out of the city, and this area has been calling to me for many, many years. And when I was a full-time nomad, just traveling full-time all around the world, I used to just look at an atlas, close my eyes, and just ask my heart, ask my soul where it wants to go, and put my finger down, and then I would go there. Sometimes it brought me to really wild, desolate, even scary at times places where I really had to reprogram my thoughts of an area on Earth. And I went there and I experienced it, and I was able to do that. And this area has always pulled me, even though I haven't known a lot about it, but it's just been a deep knowing that eventually at some point I am going to end up in Northern California. And the opportunity came and I just jumped on it. I was like, this is the time. I have a vision of having my own retreat center here one day. It just feels right for me. There's only been 2 places on the whole planet where I have landed and been like, this is where I want to be, which is here, and the other place is near Byron Bay in Australia. I'm volunteering at an ashram here, and my first time there, they have this beautiful Shiva temple. You go up 108 steps to get to Shiva, so I chanted the mantra 108 times for each step. It was such a beautiful meditation, and when I got up there, I've been visiting Shiva temples and statues, monuments all over the world. And when I sat in front of the Shiva and meditated, I had this feeling that was like I wanted to say to Shiva, I've been traveling thousands and thousands and thousands of years and lifetimes and miles in this lifetime all over the world to get to you right here. It was this really profound feeling of arriving, even though I've connected with him all over this world, and I'm sure in previous lifetimes as well. It was like we were meeting in a different way for the first time, and this is where we were meant to unite in this new, deeper way. And that's when I knew that there's something really special and magical here. And during that visit, I got on my knees, I bowed down to Shiva because I've been on this whole big journey the last year and a half. And I said, show me the path, show me the way, and I will take it wholeheartedly with everything I have. And I kept repeating that when I was there. It was just coming through me. I hadn't planned that. Show me the way, show me the path, and I will follow it. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Show me the path, and I will follow it. And when I was driving from the ashram that day, I've never been in a car accident when I'm driving, and I have driven all over the world. So I'm a pretty aware and careful driver. And in my new van called Jupiter, that's her name, I was driving and I was singing Om Namah Shivaya. And then I'm on the road 10 minutes away from my place, and I can't even really explain what happened. What it felt like, I'm from Canada, so this was the vision I had in my head when it happened, which obviously I don't think is possible here. Maybe there's moose here, I don't know, but there is moose in Canada, and the vision I had in my head when it was happening is that a moose ran into the back of the van, and the van swerved into the other side of the lane. Luckily, no one was coming, and then I got back, and it was as though maybe a boulder came and like hit the back of the van. And then when I got home, the air was coming out of the back tire and I couldn't drive it for about a week. I was also dealing with some health issues also with Priya too, if you know the story. And thank you to anyone who's listening, who supported this journey with Priya. It's been a whole initiation for both of us. So I just landed and I didn't get my van fixed for a week. I had a lot planned that week, and without these distractions, I came back to myself and I just listened. Like, okay, you hit me off the road. I had plans that evening that I had to cancel. I had plans all that week that I had to just cancel, free up my schedule, be with myself, be with Priya. And then I asked Shiva every day, what is it? Like, why am I here? What is the path you're showing me? Because you really rocked my path. And what came through so clearly is that I'm meant to, at this time, begin to share more on authentic tantra and really claim the title of a tantric guide. I am still uncomfortable saying tantric teacher because I don't believe I'm qualified to teach actual tantra. And to really claim it again, because this path has been so special and profound for me. And then to also begin sharing Ayurveda. Ayurveda, my experience with it, I am a certified Ayurvedic practitioner. It's similar to my experience with yoga. I took 4 yoga teacher trainings just for myself to really understand the science and the art of yoga for my own practice. And I never wanted to be a teacher. At the time, I was so shy. I never wanted to get up in front of a class. That sounded repulsive to me. I was like, there's no chance I'm ever doing that. And then my very first time taking a psychedelic, which was LSD, on a volcanic mountain in New Zealand by myself, it came through very clearly that I was meant to drop out of university at the time and become a full-time yoga teacher and devote my life to that. And I didn't ask questions, I did it, because when you feel that, you just know. It's this inner knowing that becomes so alive within you that you can't even think of doing anything else. And my explorations into adult films, almost 2 years ago now, a few months long, for those who don't know, I wanted to publicly shine a light on the sex industry and share my experiences. I'm writing a book on it right now. That was also this awakening and this pull within me that I could not ignore. And it made absolutely no sense. It came out of nowhere, but I followed it. So I follow my soul when it shares with me. And sometimes it's wild and sometimes it just makes total sense. So I've been studying Ayurveda for almost a decade. I've been attending Ayurvedic conferences and just taking courses mostly online by myself for my own lifestyle and to also help the people around me. This was not planned. It came through so clearly that on this time on earth, at this time, in this embodiment that I'm in, I'm meant to begin sharing. So I am diving fully into that now, and as well as traditional tantra. Having just spent almost 6 months in Vegas, I came to find that tantra is so appropriated and just misused and distorted in the West that it is creepy and disturbing. And I have to be transparent about that. It is wild that there's so many people, and I'm calling out a lot of my friends here who I love dearly, and I'm not meaning to judge or attack anyone, but there are a lot of people who are just using the sacred Sanskrit word and term and labeling it as their business and not having any desire to look into what it actually is, which I find very fascinating, because I can't personally imagine taking an ancient practice from a different country and culture on the other side of the world and not looking into it. And I say this to my friends, and it creeps me out, like, to be completely honest. It is creepy because there's all these tantric play parties, and what I came to realize in Vegas is that the word tantra is being used almost to disguise sex workers. Maybe because it's more legal that way, because prostitution is not legal in America. So I'm imagining that these sex workers are using the term tantra to hide that they're escorting, or whatever else you want to call it. And my background is that I studied tantra and yoga and different Eastern philosophies in the East for almost a decade through my 20s, and I was very passionate about it. I came over to LA. I had no idea whatsoever that tantra was being used in this way until I lived in LA and I Googled tantric temple, thinking that there might be an authentic tantric temple in California somewhere. And I was very surprised to find that it was mostly just sex work. So I'm sharing my top 3 reasons why I stopped teaching tantra. Number 1 is its misuse and just honestly how creeped out I have become of the spiritual industry as a whole, honestly, especially in America. It's like become this interesting identity, which is kind of the opposite of spirit. Spiritual is a spirit ritual. So a ritual coming back to the self, coming back to spirit within and outside of you. And in many places, it's being used as an identity, and especially online. And it just makes me feel weird. So I distance myself from that for a little bit to see if this is even what I want to be a part of, because I wasn't resonating with a lot of it that I see online and a lot of the gatherings that I was going to as well. It's important to note that tantra, traditional tantra, has been around for 5,000 years as we know it. And Western tantra, the sexualized version of it, has been around for less than 100 years, to put things into perspective. And I also had that hostmate sit me down and say, I would love sometime to just know what you think tantra is, Krystal, like kind of in a condescending way. And it's fine if he sees this, I don't mind at all. In a way that is like, I know and you don't, but it's cute that you think it's this other thing from India. And I don't say this with any hate. It's just so interesting to me, the amount of programming around this. And I do have a belief that there's this calling so strongly in the West right now towards tantra, because it's within someone's soul, perhaps from lifetimes before, to actually learn the authentic path. But people are Googling tantra and they're just seeing these sex parties and tantric temples, which is quite different than the actual traditional tantra. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you can look at my YouTube. I have videos, What is Tantra? And I share more deeply on this. I'm not going to share it in this episode. So number 2 is that I was really trying to find my way through this tantric confusion, because it just so happens that I have explored the sex industry. So then it became this really interesting and challenging experience and position that I was in of, okay, I am this sensual and sexual being. That is what people label me as. I am never intentionally sexual or sensual, even though I get judged and, attacked a lot for it. I'm literally just expressing myself in a way that feels most alive and juicy and best for me. And that comes with all of these labels. I also think this is just simply part of being a woman at this time on our planet. Since I was young and really not even tuned into my sexual energy, as soon as I grew hips and boobs, everyone was saying that I was this sexual person and having so much sex, and just for my essence and my expression as I am as a woman. So keeping that in mind, and that I do play in the worldly world, the Western world. I am a Western woman. I was raised in Canada. I was a model for almost a decade. So I am deeply programmed in these ways. And I've done a lot of deprogramming around it, but it also is a part of who I am, a piece of who I am. And I don't want to push that away. I spent years, when I first discovered yoga, I spent years celibate and rejecting and renouncing everything that I was back home. I stopped wearing makeup. I only owned enough to fit in a grocery bag, and I thought that's what spirituality was. So I am an embodiment of a Western woman, as well as a spiritual woman and a sexual woman and an explorative woman. And it's taking me now, I'm 35, it's taking me about this long in my life, the past couple years, to really be fully comfortable with who I am and fully comfortable in my own expression, to the point that I don't care what others think. Of course, it's natural and innate within us that we desire everyone to just love us. Of course, I love everyone. I would love for them to love me back. But it's not a matter of basing my actions around what other people think anymore, as it was, maybe a decade ago in my life. So with all that being said, number 2, I was trying to navigate it in a way that really respects and honors the tradition of Tantra, because I've had incredible Tantra teachers. I don't want to let them down by sexualizing this practice the way that many Westerners are. But at the end of the day, this is also who I am. And I just so happen to have found this path that I've followed and devoted myself to for a while. And I'm now claiming the title of Tantric Guide and Tantric Messenger, and really becoming this bridge between Eastern and Western and ancient and modern. And interestingly enough, I was reading just the other day, after all this happened with my van and Shiva, I was reading that at 35, around this age, in many cultures and ancient cultures, this is when one would step into their second dharma. And for me, I feel Shiva really put me into that just these past weeks, and it's more clear than ever. And finally, number 3 was, as I've been sharing, I want to respect the lineage. I don't feel qualified to call myself a Tantra teacher. In traditional Tantra, you must be devoted to this path and be practicing all of these pujas and your daily practice, your daily sadhana, and be fully devoted. And also, it's not about sex. For some of these practices, a lot of the practitioners are actually celibate so that they can fully devote themselves to these practices. And to be a teacher, to really be a guru, is to practice these for decades. They're not traditionally meant for just anyone. And Ayurveda and yoga is also a part of that. This is the 3-part path: yoga, tantra, and Ayurveda, which is what I'm sharing on, and also mind, body, spirit. It is a devotion, a lifestyle. So because of that, I really wanted to honor the tradition and not call myself a teacher because it just didn't really feel appropriate. Okay, my loves. So for this first episode, I just wanted to drop in, and I didn't really plan this episode. I just wanted to share from my heart what's been going on with me and what to expect here. And as I come back online full time and have this beautiful forest sanctuary to create from. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. If you have watched and listened this far, I appreciate your presence deeply. We are in this together. I'm so excited to be sharing with you. And if you ever want to comment on an episode, let me know you love it. Leave a review so I know that you're enjoying it and I can keep creating here. And also ask me what you would love for me to talk on, any topics. I love hearing your ideas and I write them all down. Okay, my loves, I will see you in the next episode. Beloved, thank you for listening. If this resonated with your soul, remember to follow and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and share this with someone you feel would be empowered by this transmission. To dive deeper into my world, explore my membership, The Divine Feminine, and check out all of my current offerings at thekrystalaranyani.com. I would love to hear your thoughts, reflections, or questions, so please comment on this episode, and if you loved it, leave a review. It shows me that you're enjoying it and helps me continue creating content like this for you. Remember, you are not alone in this. We rise higher together. You are powerful, worthy, and holy. You are the temple. Until next time, Sat Nam.